That's what the Davis. So the other thing is the group
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check. Check 1 2. 1 2.
I really want to go. We need. I'm going to put like anything. Can't present for them. Go like this stuff. Yeah, I think maybe decent for them. So we're right there together. It is. And so that I'm looking a middle ground. Don't go. What's the deal? Okay, I know. You don't have to. Okay, thank you.
We're up here, and everybody gets the merch. No, we don't have to. No, there's no rule. Okay, I need to get your. Okay, shoes. Get my email. Shoes, don't forget shoes. Okay, I want to ask you, because we didn't talk about this ahead of time. There's two ways that we could do this. One is that I can run through the whole PowerPoint with you guys jumping in literally as we move through. The other is that there are like 4 pages. You take a page that's 3 files. Yeah, we got an expert on. Okay, so let's yeah, I do think that's good. Okay, so I'm going to take those 2 CFAC. We have the Chancellor here. Who is CFAC? What is CFAC? I'll introduce that. And okay, so the 2 we have left, and you can pick whichever one. These slides about who is CFAC. These slides are about how we operate, just our processes, and these slides are about what we're involved in. Okay, we'll do this one, and we'll do this one because we're doing is this the one that has HVAC and all that? Right? Yeah. Well, she's just telling that we're on these committees. Okay. All right. Does that work for you?
Yes.
Yeah. There's one on here. Make sure you read it because there is. Oh, 30,000 feet. Where's the one that says 30,000 feet? Now, so what I mean by that is we have a broad view of the system. Like what you said in our earlier session that I'd like to say the faculty. Yeah. When we did this for real. Exactly. Which may be different. And then we'll go over, we'll turn it over to them for questions and answers. You know what I would do? And those names are going to be up there. You don't have to read. And if you're from Lisbon, you can look through it. But it would be great to have folks. Mine.
Oh, Mike, are we on? It's not that loud. Really? I can't hear myself. Really? Okay. I am a loud person. I probably don't need this.
All right. Yeah, but on fine. Yeah, we just let you. Good morning. How's everybody doing? You having a good New Horizons? I was thinking last night, I don't do well in hotels. I don't know about y'all. Gretchen kept me up real late last night. And then she did, and her partner in crime, Lori. And I'm tossing and turning, I'm flipping, you know, like a flounder on the boat. And I'm reflecting that I was and I'm just thinking about how much the conference has changed. There's 860 people here or something. It's
Sorry, I mentioned I graduated from high school that year.
Did I say 93? I meant 2003. Yeah. So my name is Patrick Tompkins. I teach English at John Tyler Community College, and currently I serve as the chair of the Chancellor's Faculty Advisory Committee. And my colleagues will introduce themselves.
Good morning. I'm Vicki Holland Taylor, and I'm from Danville Community College, where I've been for 42 years.
That's the year I graduated from high school.
Yeah, right. So I don't even know what I was doing in '93. But I did finally get to go to New Horizons. When it first started, though, we couldn't go unless we were in an applied science. And, yeah, so I got to go because I taught administration and justice at the time, so I got to go. But I do serve as vice chair, and I've been on CFAC. I tried to count back, and I really don't remember how many years I've been on CFAC. I'm touching, but I'm okay now. Thank you. But I know I've been on CFAC at least 12 years or more. So I guess I've probably been longer than anybody who's been there. So I'm seasoned.
I thought you had been on CFAC for 12 chancellors or more.
I've been in the system for all the chancellors.
Well, and Vicki is our institutional member of CFAC. She truly is, and we're blessed that she's on there because she does know so much and has seen how things have developed and gives us that wisdom.
As you all know, I graduated in 1994. I'm Stacy Efrig. I am from Blue Ridge Community College, and I've been with Blue Ridge for 7 years. And as you can see, I'm really loud, so I'm trying to talk softer. I've been a CFAC rep for Blue Ridge 3 years. I am currently the secretary, so I take all the notes, and I have to cut my nails to do that. So thank you.
Okay, let's see. I'm Toni Pepin. I'm one of the newbies to CFAC. This is only my second year at CFAC, and I serve as coordinator, which will explain later as to what that does. And I've been with the VCCS for 9 years, and I think I've come to New Horizons almost all those 9 years. Since I'm a hometown girl, it's easy, you know, I teach at Virginia Western Community College, so it's a little easier to justify coming. So I'm not sure if it's better to be still doing your day job while you're at a conference or being fully at a conference. So there's trade-offs there. But anyway, so that's who I am.
So we're going to do a brief presentation sharing with you what CFAC is, who we are, how we operate, and want to spend some time getting questions from you and comments. And folks, so you don't have to save the questions to the end. As we go through a slide, you have a question, just let us know. And so we'll get those microphones into the audience in just a moment. Each one of us will take 3 slides here, I guess. So I have the hardest slide, is the title slide. So by the end of this session, we hope that you will be able to understand what CFAC is, who CFAC is, what we do, why it matters, and then we'd like to engage you in response and discussion, questions, topics of concern, topics of interest, and bright ideas. I want to emphasize the importance of CFAC for representing the faculty view, and we are called the Chancellor's Faculty Advisory Committee. We serve the Chancellor as his faculty liaison to the colleges, and so that role is so important. And there's only, I mean, it sounds like a lot. There's only 23 of us. There's only one of us from each college, so we depend for our performance on what you're doing at the college and the communication you give to us. Here is, this is from the VCCS policy manual. Somebody in the audience knows that I don't usually do slides that have all this text on there, but I think it's important for us to put up there the definition of CFAC, particularly noting that this isn't policy. And I think that's a wonderful thing that there's a faculty organization that has a direct communication with the Chancellor, and I would add the Chancellor's staff, the Vice Chancellors and the Directors at the fifth office. And then who we are. We have one representative from each of the 23 colleges, and they're almost always full-time faculty members. Our representatives are selected in a variety of ways.
Oh, this is me.
Is this you? Did
Yes.
I skip that? No?
I'm not sure.
Excuse me.
Who is CFAC? As Patrick was saying, there's one representative from each of the 23 colleges. We will be meeting next week. The executive committee here, we go up and usually Wednesday night because we meet early in the morning on Thursdays. And then each person from the 23 colleges will get there by noon, and so we all meet Thursday through Friday. It's almost always full-time faculty. Representatives are selected in a variety of ways. At Blue Ridge, we have elections every April, so my name is on the list for to be the Blue Ridge CFAC rep once again next year. So it is up to my colleagues at Blue Ridge to vote me in if they want me to continue or not. Some individuals might be selected by their deans. So each representative is selected in different ways. It depends on how you do it at your college. However, we do recommend that they be elected and that they serve at least 2 terms, meaning 2 years. So, for example, I have been a CFAC rep for 3 years now. So hopefully my colleagues at Blue Ridge will allow me to continue at least for another year. So we do recommend the 2-year terms. I do see lovely faces in the audience. Your CFAC reps, some of your CFAC reps are here, so if you would like to please stand up so we can say hi. Well, we don't have all 23, which is kind of a bummer, so.
Hi, I'm Brian Wright, and I am the newbie. I think I replaced Elizabeth Smith on CFAC from Southwest.
I'm Susan Fleming from Virginia Highlands.
Brian Clark with New River Community College.
Skip Bottom, J. Sergeant Reynolds. We come in as the past president of the Faculty Senate. So I'll be going off Donna Levy, who is stepping down as our faculty president, will come in and take my place. That's how we do our continuity.
I'm Frances Lee from Germanna Community College. I've been on several years, and we're appointed by the Faculty Senate.
And I'm Stephen Walker with Southside Virginia Community College.
And again, we are the CFAC Executive Committee, as you can see on this slide. And I will turn it over to Tony.
All right, so a little more details about how we operate. As we said, we have twice a year meetings. So once in the fall semester and once in the spring semester, we all head to Richmond and convene. prior to that meeting, what we all do is send a request out to our fellow faculty for, I call it the "What questions do you have for the Chancellor?" email. And that's how I actually phrase it. What questions do you have? Because many of us do have questions. We want to know what's going on, why are things happening. I ask for issues, concerns, questions. And I solicit those, and we all do that at each of our campuses. And we have a discussion board on Blackboard where we can post, we CFAC reps can post these. And then when we get together and have our executive committee meeting, we look for commonalities, common threads between campuses, and kind of prioritize and come up with 6 or 8 issues that we're going to address at that meeting. And then after the meetings, we come back to our campuses and report out to our fellow faculty. I generally do a presentation at the next Faculty Senate meeting, but I also post a summary on Blackboard that all faculty can access. And the notes that Stacy prepares show up also on Blackboard, so folks who aren't there can actually read the entire notes of what happened as well as getting the summary. Other things we do is we periodically survey the faculty for input on important issues. So we coordinate getting those sent out at our campuses and making fellow faculty aware. We periodically have conference calls with CFAC reps to discuss issues that have come up. Like we've had a number of conference calls about the draft faculty evaluation plan where we could provide input and feedback at early stages of its development. And also sometimes it's just a way to get answers for questions from faculty that faculty may have. So, and some of them are fairly simple and straightforward, but if we don't know where to look them up in the policy manual, you know, they're all important questions. So another thing that I do as this coordinator title, which you saw, is I coordinate system-wide representation on behalf of the faculty at meetings. So a CFAC rep attends a session. Actually, we end up with 4. We shoot for 4 because there's 4 subcommittees at CFAC. So we try to have, and that's an eyes and ears. We're there as observers, but if we're asked questions, then we can provide a faculty viewpoint. We also participate in COD meetings and in tech council meetings, in calls as well as meetings. CFAC reps serve on a variety of ad hoc committees. There was one recently working on House Bill 1184 and college readiness. So an ASAC rep, and Stacey Pinchitty, got to serve on that one. And there's various presidential search committees we serve on, and I think it's a very interesting opportunity for communication. That's what I value this experience to be part of as a CFAC rep. It's the opportunity for direct communication with systems office and faculty without filtering. Because I don't think necessarily administration needs to filter, but it's sort of like you sit in a circle and you tell us it goes around to enough people. It's not always the same thing as it started out to be. So I think it helped me have the $30,000 view thing is I have a much bigger view and a better, clearer picture of how the whole system works. And they were all different, all our colleges, but we're all similar. And then getting ideas from each other. What works at Tidewater can help us with something that's going on at Virginia Western. So it's a great opportunity to share ideas on various topics and issues. So I think that the cross-cultural information sharing, I really like that phrase. To me, that's the real benefit of CFAC and being part of CFAC, and then being able to take that back to our faculty. Talk so loudly, that are systemic, and you see here, we've tried to reorganize somewhat the last couple of years, and some of it are procedures. We try to get our questions in ahead of time so that the office will be prepared for us so they can get answers to questions that are system-wide that apply to all of our community colleges. There are going to be questions that your individual colleges may be concerned about. Well, that's a local issue. We hear that quite a bit. But it doesn't mean that we don't have time to discuss those on an informal basis. And I'm going to
kind of interject a little bit here something. As I said, I've been on CFAC a long time. I've been in the system a long time. When I first came with the system, we were told, don't talk to anybody at another community college. And those of you who've been with the system a long time, you know that. We really weren't, and part of it was because they might be doing something that you want to do, but they don't know they're doing that. Yeah. And we had no communication with each other. And so it was really wonderful when this started so that we could share ideas with each other. And so this is a valuable thing. I really just don't understand that coming together in things like this, such. So this is great. Setting up committees. Like I said, we did set committees where we mirrored the vice president of the ASAC committees. We are reevaluating that. We found that it didn't really work as well. Faculty issues, yes. Student services, and we don't really deal with student services that much. So we're reevaluating as we go. It's a learning process that we do that. Extended terms for our executive committee. Instead of what we had been doing, we were electing our chair, vice chair, secretary every fall. Well, that doesn't do that, so we did that for 2 years. So this way we're better serving our faculty at college. And that's what we wanted to do here to not only better faculty, but the entire system. What we're board is we're doing faculty of service and we're serving faculty and everybody. What have we done lately? Well, that's right. Well, you came to our last session, you know, faculty evaluation has been on the mind of many people that continue and have been implementing that. And really, people have listened to us. And hopefully said the Chancellor's here. And at one time, I've been here a long time, we really felt like nobody heard us for a very long time. And people do hear. They took some of our suggestions, came from our faculty and our system. And this VCCS 29 had to be revised to meet does not meet expectations. That was all this. I know anytime anybody hears division, I know I'm tired before they get it. But that happens. Well, they listen. Yes, that we do this. I was reading that all of these faculty programs done that. Let's do that. How is it going to impact our college? All of these, like summer pay. We did a survey on that. We've done several surveys on that. It's amazing. 23 colleges, we don't all do it the same way. Can you imagine? Yeah, but it's because we don't want to be completely centralized. And because of cutbacks, such colleges have to do what they can do. We've done them on summer office hours. Imagine, we all don't do that the same way either. And professional development surveys, so we do surveys and find out, and we do talk informally about what we do today. And really with the VCCS, I can read that screen better than I can. This is really tiny print. But the communications, we have communicated more with the VCCS. Like they've all said that we have calls. My 4 students, I put up this own conference call. And when I get through, you ought to see all the sticky notes on my door. And I need to talk to you. Come to wherever I am today, afterwards and such. We have issued statements of support and concern for issues. We compliment the Chancellor and we thank him and the staff for all the help they give us, but we also tell them what we're concerned about. And we do those types of things, and we do it in the name of the faculty. Yes, and adjunct faculty too. People, we do not leave out the adjunct. We realize that without the adjunct, we would really be hurting. We know that. What you can do. Expect excellence from your CFAC representative. Yes, make sure that we're communicating with you. When we send an email, don't delete. And I know that happens. I'm always afraid to send something. I'm going to say, oh, there's another one. If you're asked to be a member of CFAC, it is time consuming for some of us. Yes, I do choose to go to ASAC such as that. It's a twice-a-year commitment on Thursday and Friday. So I think most of us could probably do that. If we send a survey, please complete it. And just like with faculty evaluations from the students, you want the students to fill those out, don't you, to complete them? Well, we need you to fill out these surveys. That's how we're trying to find some good information and such. Read the minutes we send out. We usually send out our unofficial minutes first, and that's what we have gleaned, and we've gone through them, we've edited them and such to make sure that the substance of it is there, because you're going to get those before the official minutes are ever sent out, and you will find out what we have talked about. So please read those. I know that some of my faculty do, because I get comments immediately, my deans do, and I get comments that, what were y'all talking about? If we ask you, do you have any concerns, and we'll tell you whether it's a local issue or not. And I know you get upset when we tell you that, no, that's a local issue. I can't take that to feedback. They'll tell me it's a local issue. Some of us know that it's going to be, but we try to get the information. And we do communicate with each other. It's not anything for me to put the D list for feedback and say, look, one of my faculty's got a concern about this, and I know that's not a systemic thing, but do you have a solution for this? How can I help my faculty member? And that's the beauty of CFAC. I don't have to post it up on Blackboard, our discussion board. I can just email these people and say, help, one of my faculty members. And we love to praise each other for the great things they're doing. Maybe you saw what Gary Noah had done at Tidewater. They've had over 2,000 computers they've given to students because of the networking club. And I think that's great that they've done. I want my kids to do that. So those types of things. But we do focus, as I said, on the faculty's role in achieving goals of making our students successful, helping them be successful.
Now we'd like to turn it to you and get you to help us with any questions that you may have, topics of concern. We are going to meeting, as Vicki said, we're going to meet next Thursday and Friday. So our meeting is imminent, and we're welcome feedback on this. We're particularly but we're also trying to use partners not being flexible.
I'm Ursula Bach from Thomas Nelson Community College, and my question to you has to do with the Affordable Care Act. Is CFAC in any way involved in shaping the Chancellor's recommendation in terms of interpreting the limit of hours, either as time worked or as workload? Is there a CFAC-specific approach to this matter?
I know we've discussed this at our fall meeting, but I will allow Patrick to answer that question.
So 2 things to keep in mind. One is that there is state law that was just passed that specifically speaks to faculty. So there are limitations around what the Virginia Community College system can do. The second answer is this is, I think, agenda item number 2 on our discussion topics. So I think we talk about adjuncts at almost every meeting.
I did go to ASAC during my spring break, by the way. That's how I spent my spring break, was at ASAC and COD. And they're waiting for the word to come down from the IRS and such. So their hands are tied, but we are going to ask for an update and such. Yeah, to find out. And from what I was hearing at the VP's meeting is that schools are dealing with it differently. But again, they can't make a decision until really what the ruling comes down as to what they're going to classify as the hours of, are they going to count 2 hours of prep time and an hour of class? So, yeah, until they get a ruling, I don't know if Karen's still in here. Yeah. So I didn't know if anything had been brought down, but I hope we'll have an update next week.
And one thing that I did want to mention, that why I really like being the CFAC rep for Blue Ridge is I get to go and I get to meet all the vice chancellors and the directors. I get to meet everybody at the system office, and there's our, you can help me with names, Dr. Lee, Human Resources, Dr. Wood. I know Kat Finnegan because Dr. Finnegan and I have been working with our peer group with our oral communication competency. So it's nice to interact and meet a whole bunch of different people at the system office to ask these specific types of questions. So the individuals that actually are dealing with these issues are there, and we get to hear it from them when we do have these types of questions that you have. So it is a nice thing. It's not just your reps sitting around and not getting the answers to our questions. So we do have the vice chancellors, directors, everyone from the system office answering these questions that we have.
The only thing I would add to that is that the other opportunity we have is to share amongst ourselves, this is what we're doing at our college to address this. And then we can take that back and, you know, Blue Ridge is trying this, and New River might be trying this. So it's a source of exchange of ideas for how to deal with this. I mean, we have 9 uncovered sections of Bio 101. So how are we going to deal with this? So other campuses have similar issues. So what strategies are they using to deal with this? So it's a good swapping among colleges for ideas, as well as getting the information and strategies for dealing with it.
Nice one. Yes? Hi, I'm Cynthia Dreamer from J. Sargent Reynolds. I've been on CFAC, and so I know the great work that you do. So I want to do a little side issue to what you just said about affordable health care. So here are a couple of issues that we'd like to hear about. So we know about the credit hour discussion, but what about duties like special additional duty contracts that the adjuncts would do that were outside of the classroom? For instance, we just received a grant. We'd like to give part of that grant to a adjunct faculty member. They do get paid for that. Is that part of that total picture or not? So if they have a contract to do something else, like an independent contractor outside of the teaching load, are they allowed to do that, or are you going to turn around and say to them that's part of your total load, and either you give up a course or you do this other thing? And when we're off contract, for instance, like if they're doing something in August when nobody is on contract, but this adjunct is doing something during this off contract time and getting paid for it, will this be also considered part of their total load? So there are sort of other issues involved with that. And the third thing we're very concerned about is, are you going to count across the VCCS for all courses that adjuncts are teaching?
And Cynthia, your questions, I think we have already discussed as the CFAC Executive Committee. I know we have the same questions that you do. Tony's taking over my job, and she's writing these things down as we speak. Thank you. So I think these are concerns that we all have across the 23 colleges, and as we were, as Vicki mentioned, Patrick mentioned, it is item number 2, and I hope that we get some of these questions answered. However, as Vicki said, I mean, we're waiting to get these questions answered. So, Patrick.
That was great response, Stacey. I think you're absolutely right. These questions will be asked, and we are taking notes on some of the specifics. And I have an answer, but I'm not going to give the answer because I am not authorized to speak for the VCCS. So let's listen to what Vice Chancellor Lee communicates to us and what the Chancellor communicates to us, and then we will be communicating that back to the college.
Functioning by being in the know or if that's just their assumption. But we've got people, for example, who work in student support services under one grant and who teach. They will not be allowed to continue both positions.
Funding, would they be allowed to do it not count? Yes.
And she's writing that down. Thank you.
Southwest.
We had 2 more CFAC members walk in if they want to introduce themselves.
Yes, please.
We already mentioned Gary earlier.
Gary Noah from TCC.
You thanked us prematurely, Gary.
Paul Weitzel, Eastern Shore Community College.
Cynthia had another question for us. Keep them coming.
All right, so you might have already talked about this, but I'm just going to keep bringing this up. We have people in the optional retirement program that are not in the Virginia retirement system, and they are actually being compensated differently just because they chose many years ago on a separate retirement system without ever being told that down the line we're going to compensate you differently because of the choice of your retirement system. So I think that's already been brought to CFAC. I heard the last time it was brought forward that the VCCS is going to do some kind of memorandum of understanding of what those issues are. I've never seen that. I've asked for it. I'd like to see it. Another issue came to mind, for instance, that on our campus, and maybe it's true across all campuses, if you're in the VRS system, you have 5 days of personal leave that you can take. If you are in, well, I'm going to finish here because this is what I've been told from my HR person, that if you're in ORP, you only have 3. Now, why is that? Why is that?
So we have talked about this at the last 3 or ever since they passed that law. We have talked about it at every meeting. And you are correct that we have asked, actually I think they may have offered a fact sheet to help clarify some of the issues. And that is on the agenda for next Thursday. So we anticipate receiving that update, and it should include those questions. And you were kind enough, and Skip were kind enough to forward your specific questions to us. And so that is on our list. I want to give an overview, though, so that we have a realistic understanding of this. This was not the VCCS. They are not the ones who came up with this brilliant idea. And the VCCS is not comfortable with it either. They're not happy either. They don't want faculty to be treated disparately. There is about this much listening going on at the General Assembly on this issue. That's the problem we face. There's simply no traction on this at all, particularly in difficult budget times. They just don't even want to hear about it. Now, I don't think we surrender. I think we need to continue to talk about this, and we, CFAC, will, this will probably be up on every meeting until it gets resolved. I think the VCCS is going to be looking for the strategic opportunity. I would remind you that you are citizens of the Commonwealth with delegates and with senators, and this is an important issue that, frankly, this is my own opinion, I suspect that they don't really understand the issue. I suspect that they don't understand particularly how it's affecting faculty in higher education. So we're going to need to do some education of our legislators and some advocacy.
I have a different issue I'd like to raise. I'm David McGee from Central Virginia Community College. We just recently got notification in our college there's been a new mandate passed down from the system office regarding weapons on campus. And after looking through it very closely, I became extremely concerned when I noticed that strangers have more rights to carry weapons on our campus as long as they don't enter buildings than do faculty, staff, students, anybody who is known to us. And this is a VCCS thing. I've gone out and checked at it, William & Mary, UVA, Tech. They have gone opposite this direction. They have refused to accept the logic that the VCCS has accepted here. And I was wondering if there's anything CFAC can do about this.
we talked a couple weeks ago, the executive committee here, about this issue, and I believe, my memory's not really good, but I believe it's on the agenda to talk about next week at our meeting. I believe one of our CFAC reps actually brought this to the table. Peter did. So we did discuss it briefly on our conference call, and it is on the agenda for next week. So we do hear faculty and their concerns, and we talk in length about them, and I'm glad that your CFAC rep actually brought that up, that you were concerned about that issue.
And Karen, you can correct me, but I think each college has the right to have a stricter policy because at our school we have it's in our policy that no one, unless they're a police officer, on campus or on the sidewalks or anywhere, have a gun.
The understanding of our administration, now again, they may interpret it wrong, that this is a new policy that supersedes what's been in the past.
I'm no longer an official representative of the community college being retired, but I have sat in on a number of these conversations. And there have been another number of revisions over the past year. And part of it has to do with whether you have regulations that are issued as opposed to policy, as opposed to state law. And it's gone through several iterations. I'm not sure if you've seen the most recent one. But essentially my understanding is that that what has been granted now is that in buildings, no one, we can post and say no one can come into the building with weapons. However, and there was a restriction that anyone that's coming onto your campus, just a stranger, that you could not restrict them. But what has now happened, I believe, is that for individuals that have a concealed weapons permit, that they will be able to have it in their car on the campus, in parking lots. I don't believe anyone can carry it into, I think we're issuing regulations so that no one can carry it into a building now. So I think that with the most recent iteration of rules and regulations, we've gone out and done the regulation process, but we're pretty close in having the same application of the policy to strangers and other people as closely as we're allowed to by law. But I'm a little out of my purview, but that's about it. We're trying very hard to have equal application of the law.
What else? Hi, I'm Mark Cohen from John Tyler. About a year or two ago, there was a proposed bill that would allow certain eligible members from the ORP to do a one-time switch into the VRS. And it was tough getting any information about it from HR and anyone within the system that really knew a whole lot about it. About all I could find out that it actually got tabled for next year. Can you shed any light on it?
Yes, and that is something that CFAC supported and asked the system office to support, and the system office understood why we supported that, and they worked with the General Assembly, and then we had this thing called the Great Recession. And it's a very expensive process. The truth is that the ORP is cheaper for the state than the VRS. As you know, the VRS is greatly underfunded. And so shifting more people into a greatly underfunded system is not something that appeals to the fiduciary interests of the General Assembly. So certainly not now, but I hope it's not never, And so that's another thing that we try to do on CFAC is be strategic. So when you're in the Great Recession, we have not been lobbying the system office for raises, because it seems like, we're checked out of reality when you're doing something like that. So this particular issue, Mark, is something that we can't ask about now. It's just not going to be judicious. But I hope we'll try to keep it on our agenda. And when we send out that calls for concern, don't ever feel bad about asking the same question in every email. Seriously, sometimes you have to just keep putting things on the table, and we take every email that you send and we collate them and we talk about them, and just because it doesn't make it onto the agenda does not mean that we're not paying attention or that we don't value it or that we don't think it's something that needs to happen. Our agenda is limited. We don't do a laundry list agenda of 500 items. We have to prioritize, and we're also trying to be strategic. So please keep us going on that one.
I'm used to talking without a microphone, but okay, here goes. My name is Linda, and I am from Central Virginia Community College, and I teach in the business division. I have been working on a committee this year related to the learning outcomes for the accounting department, and in working with that committee, I've learned that there is a transferability issue of certain business classes to other four-year institutions, and I was kind of shocked to learn that the transferability to state four-year institutions of classes seems to be negotiated on a college-by-college basis. And I just wondered, I also learned that there seems to be a movement in four-year state colleges to sometimes obviously reject transferability classes, typical 200-level classes that I always thought would transfer without question. It seems to be that some of them are obviously rejecting them and some of them are more in a stealth way rejecting them. Is that anything that's on the radar screen at the systems office?
The only thing I would be able to comment is we have at Virginia Western Community College every spring we have a transfer conference where we bring transfer reps, faculty in science and mathematics to our campus. And I have found very much the same thing to be true, that individual colleges deal with our courses in their own individual ways. And you really do have to negotiate with the colleges in your particular area. It doesn't seem like it should be that way, but some courses I agree that seem like they would transfer. If they don't transfer directly, sometimes they take them as general electives, which to me is sort of self-transferring because they're not transferring in as that science credit that we, you know, it says that these are transferable courses, and so they are living to the letter of the law in that they're being transferred, but they're not being transferred to science courses.
Well, of course. Yeah, they're giving them elective credit, but, you know, if they take business statistics at a community college, the consultants believe that business statistics would transfer, and then they get there and they're giving them 3 credits of elective and tell them they have to take business statistics again.
Yes, we have that problem. You know, a class that a student would take at Northern Virginia Community College might not be able to transfer that same course into Blue Ridge. And I think this is one of the re-engineering initiatives to solve some of these problems. But I think it all boils down to the four-year colleges and communicating with them about us
well, we
as
can
a
certainly
system.
do it that way, but I just wondered if the Chancellor had any indication, any feelings that perhaps it should be negotiated as a system, which seems to me would have more clout than having 23 individual colleges approach James Madison and have 23 separate agreements.
I will note that we today is much different than 10 years ago, and our articulation agreements both at the state level and at the college level are miles above where they were. We had a real problem 10, 15, 20 years ago, and what I would characterize as recalcitrance on the part of four-year institutions. You know who weighed in on this was the General Assembly. And they said, why are we paying for this course at this community college, and why aren't you not taking that course at this university? And if the course isn't good enough at the community college, why isn't it good enough? And if it is good enough in the community college, why is the student paying for this course twice? There are more state-level transfer agreements than ever. And then as folks on the panel have mentioned, you know, the institutions are different. The state institutions, they have different cultures, they have different priorities, they have different programs, and that's true of our community colleges as well. And so there is a degree to which there will always be local articulation, will always be important. I think we're doing better than we were in the past. I think some colleges do better than other colleges, and on Thursday next, we will be reviewing the transfer report. So they have done an audit of transfer, and we'll have an opportunity, CFAC, to take a look at that report, and I expect that there will be critical discussion based on it.
Okay, thank you. So you are on. I guess that's my question is, are you on it?
It's on the radar screen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
CFAC does talk about this issue a lot. It's never off the table. The Chancellor is aware of it. CFAC reps, we push for discussing this issue because it's an issue among all of our colleges, but not only that, it's an issue between the 4 years as well. So even at the local level, Blue Ridge, we do have those conversations with our 4-year colleges to discuss why are these classes not transferring in as the class? Why are you just taking it in as a general elective? So it's a huge issue, and it's going on everywhere. But just my own personal opinion, I think we need to communicate more with our 4-year colleges and telling them this is who we are as a college, as a system. And I think, really trying to get your transfer person at your college involved with communicating to these 4 years, hey, these classes are being taught by individuals that know their stuff, and you should be taking these courses for a student. So it's never an ending issue. We do talk about it.
One of the things that may help, most colleges have a person in charge of transfer, and if you can feed up to them, if you know the problem with a course with a particular college, you can feed up to that person in charge of transfer stuff, then talk to them, and they may be able to help you resolve that issue.
But that does occur. I mean, it's synergistic. It occurs both. I recall English 111, 112. We had a significant problem with that back in maybe 98 or so. And so we had a meeting at the system office, and we said, what will it take? We asked, we brought in all the universities, and our question was, what will it take? I think it comes from a number of places. Gary mentions that each college has a chief transfer officer. I think CFAC, as Stacy mentioned, is on that. I think Stacy also mentioned that the Chancellor is on it, that they're focusing on. So I think there are a number of individuals and groups who are working on this. I will note that in the Articulate Learning Outcomes initiative that's ongoing right now in accounting and biology, the first thing they did was they contacted the 4-year institutions and said, okay, what do we need to do for accounting for this course to transfer?
And you should start with your, as Vicki and Tony said, your peer group. A lot of things can be done with your peer group. And Gary is right. The transfer person at your college, I think, has a lot of leadership. They should take the lead on this to get some of the courses that are having the difficulty of transferring in. Again, opening that communication with the 4-year colleges, but not only your transfer person, but you yourself communicating with your peer group, communicating with your department, taking the lead on getting these issues solved. And I think, again, this is a huge issue, and it's not going to be solved overnight. It's going to take time, effort, communication, forming relationships with the 4 years, and just being persistent.
Shifting gears just a little bit, do you think CFAC represents the interest of the adjunct faculty adequately?
I'd like us each to respond to that because it would be interesting to get the different perspectives. And Vicki, you've been on CFAC the longest, so you've seen the most.
Probably not adequately, but we're doing what we can right now for them. We don't even have a representative on our steering committee. We don't have a faculty senate. We have a faculty steering committee. And the way it's going now, we're going to have more adjuncts. we do take their concerns, though, as you know. I mean, we try to bring it to the forefront, but our hands are pretty much tied with so many of them. But we're trying. I mean, we can bring these issues before, and honestly, we're doing more now than we ever have before. I have to tell you, before, we never even mentioned adjunct. So we're trying to bring it to the forefront.
You know, the ratio is roughly 60-40, and that's and it's going to get larger with this 29-hour restriction in order to fill the classes with faculty. So I'm just offering this maybe as a thought for CFAC to have some representation through the adjunct. I don't know.
I think part of that problem is going to be is how, I mean, if you may not know, but the Chancellor has been really good about telling the presidents, you will find funding to send your CFAC rep to Richmond, because for a long time, some of our CFAC reps didn't attend because their presidents wouldn't pay for them to come. And to ask them in budgetary restraints to send an adjunct faculty to come, that's asking a lot. But they do need to be represented. But I think that, to be, in my opinion now, I think on the campuses, I think that's where it's going to have to start, that we on our campuses are going to have to include the adjuncts. We have a mentoring system there. I mean, I have several adjuncts who are my mentees, and bringing them in and asking them, okay, what can we do for you? How can we help you and such? And that may be the starting point to do that, and to help them along the way. I mean, I get emails quite often from some of mine. Most of them are in my area. I do have one who's not, but that's because it's my choir director, and he knows where to get in touch with me. But we still, what can we do to help you, and trying to keep them up on what's going on. Yeah, and they also are on our D list, so they get the CFAC information and everything.
So let's hear Tony and Stacy, their perspectives.
I think it's a good question, Skip, because we do have such a significant number and likely an increased number of individuals in that role. Can we do more? I think we probably can, but I would agree with Vicki that I think it needs to be on our campus, by campus basis. And I think in different departments, we're doing a better job of that on our campus, I think, in terms of involving adjunct faculty in meetings and information distribution. I think it's an increased awareness on our part that they need to be in the loop because they're such an integral part. But I think that, to me, is where it's going to have to start. Where it goes in the future 5 years from now as economic trends change, perhaps I think we need to keep revisiting and reevaluating. But I think being conscious and aware of CFAC reps that we do keep that and we facilitate that dialogue with adjunct faculty on our campus. So we're not just bringing the full-time faculty concerns, but we're also bringing adjunct concerns to the table. That would be my view on where to go with it. I think Gary.
Stacy? No, we're going to go to Stacy and.
Well, my perspective, I echo what Vicki and Tony have said. That as a CFAC rep, we try to get our adjuncts involved. And I do think it starts at the local level, your CFAC rep at each college. That's how we know some of the adjunct issues that are on the table now for next week to discuss, is because our full-time CFAC representative is asking all of their faculty, including full-time and the adjuncts, what are your concerns, what are your issues? Personally, I could probably do a better job to connect with our adjuncts. But I think it does start at each college. We have to, as a CFAC representative, remember our adjuncts. And I think some of us could do better than others. And because we can't forget those individuals, as you said, we're 60-40 right now. We need to take care of them as well.
I agree with what was said before. Your question was, do we do a good enough job? And the answer is no. The answer is no. But I like what was said before. We're doing a lot better job than we were in the past. I don't think that we can ever adequately represent adjunct faculty when not a single adjunct faculty member is sitting at the table. Many of us were adjuncts, and I think we care about our adjuncts, and we care about our colleges, and our adjuncts are part of our colleges. I agree that it has to start at the local level, but that does not absolve CFAC of the responsibility of better addressing this issue. We haven't figured it. We're growing as CFAC, and this is an area. I thank you so much for asking the question. I think this is something we have got to continue doing. I would like to see, at some point, I think we will see adjuncts sitting at that table, which will be necessary. I'm going to give Gary the final word on this, and then we're going to wrap up. Did you have a comment? Thank you, Gary. We're going to wrap up here. I very much appreciate you attending this session today. And I want to make just a couple of concluding remarks. And this is a little bit of feathering our own nest or complimenting ourselves. But, you know, I think about, they sent out that survey on textbooks recently. And I thought about it the other night. That has to be the 6th survey of faculty in the last 2 or 3 years. And Vicki, you've been in the system longer than any of us. They are the first 6 surveys of faculty ever. So what has happened is we're all growing. CFAC is growing, and we're becoming, I think, more useful to the system office. The system office is growing and is recognizing, wow, you know, when we have these folks on board as partners, it's better for all of us. And I think you are growing. I think when I go back to Stacy's high school graduation at New Horizons, and I think about the way we as faculty attended New Horizons, and our perspective in 1994 was much different than faculty perspective now. I think we're paying better attention, and we see ourselves, we see our responsibility broader than just our classroom. Last word, again, thank you for attending. Make sure if you have questions or concerns that you're communicating with your CFAC representatives. They do a great job, and we all want to, as Stacy said, do an even better job. Thank you.